Okay, hi everyone, and good evening for everyone who's logging in East African time. If you're logging in from somewhere else around the world, it's probably morning or afternoon. Please let me know where you are. I can already see we have an audience live on YouTube. I think I saw somebody saying, is it Esther saying, I'm the first on the live? And so I'm today's class rep. Hi, Esther. Yes, you officially nominated yourself as the official class rep for today on YouTube. Asante Sana. I can see there are many other people who are logged in on Instagram. Thank you so much. Please tell me where you're logging from. Are you in Kenya? Are you in Kampala? Are you in some other part of the world? Do let me know. Really happy to have you. If you're logging in on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, I'm so grateful. Or as we say here in Uganda, mwevale nyo or mwevale for joining us today. So really excited about our second episode, which is coming live today. I know, you all made noise. I've met so many of you who keep asking me, when are you coming back live? Why have you taken so long to get back live? But guys, it is, how do I say, what's the right word? It's not easy. I know sometimes it looks easy when you're up on screen and you're talking to the whole world and you look like as if this is something that you do every day. And sometimes I meet people and they ask me, but Silva, you're forever talking to audiences, you're giving speeches. Let me tell you, it doesn't get easier. In fact, I think as the audience gets bigger, you get a lot more nervous. And that's why for me, I've kind of simplified my life and said I live for the audience of one. For those of you who have worked with me for a while, it makes it so much easier, just so long as that one audience is happy with you and your life is showing up the way he has directed you to, then it makes it so much easier. So that's how I'm giving myself confidence and energy. So please do let me know where you are. Charity, I can see you're saying you're in Eldoret, Kenya. Wow. I can see from Mende, S256. Good evening from Uganda Tech. And MANT, something university. I can see Innocent from Kanairo. Those are the people of Nairobi. I can see Diana logging in from Kampala. Oh, hi. I can see somebody in Nairobi. There's somebody who's asking, Esther, please share the live to our statuses. And let's invite our friends to join the live. Thank you so much, Esther. Yeah, please invite your friends. Abia Aturinda, you're here in Kampala, Uganda. Thank you for joining. The Pesh is joining in from Mukono. My God, how did you get through that traffic? I hope you're still not in traffic. The traffic of Mukono in Uganda is just absolutely phenomenal. Yes, all the Kampalas, they can see Lisa is saying she's in Kampala, but she's from Kenya. Thank you so much. Maria, is that you, Coach Maria Ndungu? Thank you so much for joining in from Eldoret, Kenya. Assumpta, I can see you. Monica Kamwine from Barara. Wow, thank you so much for joining. So really encouraging to see everybody who's here. And the first episode, I think, was just made, I think blew me out of the water. I mean, the other day, my team walked into the office and they were asking me, how did I feel about the first episode? And I think the key word was just nervous. I was absolutely nervous. There were so many things that had happened that day at work, and I wasn't sure that I had the energy to pull it together. But you know how grace works. When you actually get there, you get the right words that you should speak for that moment. So thank you so much for everybody who cheered me on, who encouraged me, who affirmed me. I went later through all the feedback and the comments that I got from many of you that were on YouTube once we uploaded the episode, or the guys who came into LinkedIn, or just send me direct DMs. I just want to tell you that your messages make a difference. Your messages matter, and just thank you for taking the time to give me feedback. Even for those who gave me feedback and said, it didn't work, the sound was not great, you need to improve on this. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. So thank you so much for investing your time in terms of making sure that we continue to make this space a lot better and a lot more energetic. So I hope your week has been great so far. Can you believe we're already in July, halfway through the year? Last Sunday, I had some downtime after a really hectic week, and I was just like going through my first half of the year, and I couldn't believe that we've already transitioned into the second half. It's been an absolute whirlwind, at least for me. And when I think about many things, I think about work. Work has been super hectic. For those of you who follow everything that happens in our space, in the telecom space, you know it's moving at a rapid pace. Things are constantly changing all the time. Technology is moving fast. Our customers are moving faster. Just when you think you've caught up, there's another shift in the technology space, so you have to keep moving faster. People's expectations are so much higher every day, and therefore you have to keep asking yourself, even as I get to this midpoint, and I don't know how many of you have taken the time to just stop and kind of go back and ask yourself the things that I said I wanted to focus on this year. Whether you're a resolution person, I'm not. I'm not like I sit down and write resolutions, but I do have goals that I seek to kind of progress on. So I was looking at my financial goals the other day and asking myself, what are all the things that I said I'd like to do this year? How far am I? Some I'm doing well, others I'm not doing great. What do I need to do to course correct? So I hope this halftime check-in affords you that opportunity to kind of sit back and reflect and ask yourself, am I on that trajectory that I foresaw myself getting on? I was listening to John Maxwell. You know, for those of you who follow me, you know I listen to John Maxwell. I read that John Maxwell Leadership Bible. And he was talking, the other day, he was talking about the fact that we always get into something and overestimate our ability to be able to do it, because you sometimes assume that, you know, as you're thinking about it and evaluating it or visioning it in your head, it all seems like there's nothing else that's going to come and stop you in terms of your vision. But I think what we realize in life is that life is not linear. They say, okay, I don't know if this is correct, I might be wrong, that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Is that what they say? Maybe. Maybe. But we always assume that that path is going to be linear. And often it is not. Once you put your first step on that journey that you want to walk, you might get away with a few good ones. But then inevitably what happens is that the headwinds of life begin to come at you. They can be headwinds in terms of the path that you're pursuing, whether it's a profession. There can be headwinds that come in from a relationship perspective. There can be headwinds that come in, probably you are anticipating some finances to help you to get to where you want to go. And even sometimes the headwinds can be personal, where you thought you had a certain energy to be able to take on something, and then you realize that you probably have not yet built that capacity that is required to birth that which is required for that particular moment. And that's the conversation that I want us to have today. I mean, when I think about my life and the journey, I call it a journey of sanctification that God has allowed me to walk through in the many years that I've been here. It has not been necessarily a journey that I would say has followed that linear path that I probably thought I would be on when I was a little girl. Whether it was through my university in terms of what I studied and what I thought that I would ultimately end up doing, or when I got my first job, like my first serious job with a serious paycheck. And then it's a serious paycheck when you start paying tax, by the way, yeah? So you kind of think that, yeah, so I've gotten this first real job, so the path is going to be like this. But so many things shift. I never thought that I would be in the communications industry. You probably know that I got a degree in food science, and I thought I would work in a factory, probably be a factory manager. But that's not where I am. And even what I am doing today, I actually never learned in university. So how do you then, as an individual, kind of then ask yourself, what is life serving me? What are all the different ingredients that are being dropped in my life? And how then do I build that capacity to be able to cope with everything that is coming my way? Now, often, more often than not, and probably it's because it's so amplified, we will normally notice the things that are tougher, the things that probably we didn't anticipate, the things that have brought us pain, the things that have brought us disappointment, the moments of rejection that sometimes happen in our lives. And those have a way of sometimes setting us off or setting us back and making us begin to doubt the people that we are and everything it else that we are pursuing. So the conversation I want us to have today is a conversation around how do we overcome those moments? This is a leadership conversation. I remind us that we created this platform. We both created this platform because we said we want to connect, we want to engage, we want to grow. We want to share our story, the stories that we are going through. We want to share the challenges and create an opportunity to be able to learn from each other, because our stories matter. Your story matters. My story matters. And I think when we bring them together, the collective of it creates a bigger whole that allows us then to be able to grow and uniquely kind of adopt new lessons, new attributes that make it easier to be able to bear up in this life. I have to say that, first of all, remember the rule that we established, I think, in the first episode. We are not here to perform. We are not here to be perfect. We are here to be real and have a raw and unfiltered conversation. So I invite you to just kind of drop your comments. I can already see there's some comments coming in. Somebody asking, how do we overcome those moments in the aspects of leadership when it becomes tough, when you feel your career has stagnated, when you have a tough boss? How then do you also probably just overcome the challenges that you probably have in a task that you've been given and it's not all stitching together? How do we get it done? I invite you to drop to me your questions and the things that you'd like us to discuss. We'll probably have about another 45 minutes, and I'll try and see how we can be able to address some of the questions you have. We may not be able to get all of them, but I hope that you'll probably be able to pick up a nugget, either from myself, from the comments that come through, that will impact your life positively and help you to keep on moving in this journey. I can see, are you on TikTok, guys? I can see some guys are saying that they were off. I hope you're back on. I hope it's not your network. You know, if you're on that one, you know what I'm saying. I will not finish. So, yes, if you're having a challenge joining, let us know so we can be able to fix the platforms. Last time, remember, we ran into some headwinds with TikTok. We ended up getting off TikTok completely and had to do the whole live from Instagram. So thank you for being patient with me and allowing us to get better. So please give us your feedback so that we can know what it is that we can improve as we go along. So, by the way, Kenyans, I hope you have... Let me digress a bit. This week I went to watch rugby. The Kenyan qualifier, the rugby qualifiers, which are happening here in Kampala, and there was a fantastic match. Was it 2 days ago, Alan? Was it 2 days ago or when? 2 days ago, the day before yesterday. And I was wearing a yellow jersey written Uganda. I am in Uganda. Kenyans, what? You all came at me online and said, hey, Kenyans, please. But well done, Kenya, for securing the win. You did very well. I hope Simon is here, and we are back to being friends. As Ezekiel wrote on LinkedIn, Ezekiel, you're my person. Thank you very much. Sport has no permanent enemy. So thank you so much for all of you who have forgiven me. I can see Modoni Minor is telling me, you are forgiven, Sylvia. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, so let's have this conversation. M254 tells me she's just been promoted at 33 to report directly to the MD, and she has this fear of this level of leadership. First of all, we start by saying congratulations. Never miss the moment of now. You know, one of the challenges I think we have as human beings is that you're always chasing the next high. One of my leaders here, his name is Joseph. He's in charge of our GM for sales and distribution. He always says, when you get to the top of one mountain, there's another mountain that you have to climb. And I've been reminding myself and my team throughout this year. We even had a roadshow the other day. And sometimes what happens is that when you get to the top of that mountain, you forget to celebrate that moment, the energy, the resilience, the persistence that got you to the top of that mountain. So, we first of all start off by celebrating you for getting to that promotion. Well done. I hope you've clapped for yourself. I hope your friends have celebrated you. And then now we can begin to confront the challenges that probably are coming at you and the fears that are coming at you because you know, think, am I capable? Am I ready? Will I be able to shine? Hey, girl. That's why we're having this conversation. By the way, speaking of mountains and going uphill, I will be having a special guest who will come on the set for all of 3 minutes, if I can convince her. She's just had I call her now Mountain Slayer. She's just had a very uphill experience here in Uganda a couple of weeks ago. She's somewhere there in the audience, in the studio. So she'll come in and lend some bit of input to the conversation we're having today. So look out for that as you go along. So we dig in. Many of us aspire to do something great with our lives. And we want to make a mark, we want to make a difference. And as I said earlier, the path is never linear. You many times, sometimes overestimate what it is that you're trying to do, or you run into headwinds. But you must find that power within you to be able to keep on going. I think ultimately what you will realize is that a lot of the things that come at you, many of them are out of your control. I mean, I can't control what's happening to the macroeconomics. I can contribute to the policies and the dialogue with the various stakeholders that are responsible. But I can't control what's happening with the trade tariffs. I can't control what's happening in the States and the impact it's having here. I can't control the fact that we are now seeing a lot of states becoming very protectionist around making sure that they try and keep the value within their countries rather than export it. And we see the impact that then inevitably ends up having on economies such as Africa, especially for those of us who have a very huge reliance on the Western world or even on Asia. I can't control the fact that one day I wake up, the sky is blue. The other day I wake up, it is a rainy day. I can't control the fact that maybe one day I hear that there are rumors of war in places that I have probably, other than just getting down on my knees and praying, I cannot be able to control what is driving the war. And those things inevitably have a way, because the world has become so increasingly connected. And inevitably, you then have to ask yourself, as Chanty World is saying online, how do you find the power to be able to keep on going? How do you find that energy to be able to spur yourself to keep on moving? I think what I've come to discover, and I was reflecting on this over the weekend as I read and was listening to something online, that adversity is really part of the journeys that we have to go through. It is part of the process. It is a season that we must learn to embrace rather than run away from. And that failure only becomes final if you let it stop you. Adversity is part of the process, and failure only becomes final if you let it stop you. I heard John Maxwell say yesterday to a teaching that he had, not a teaching, a conversation that he was having with someone online, and he said that everything that is worthwhile is uphill. And I think that challenge becomes even more dramatic when you're a leader. You not only have to lead self, think of it as circles of influence that keep getting bigger. So first of all, you have the circle of leading yourself. Then you have the circle as you become a leader of leading another, right? It can be you as a mother, you as a dad, you're leading your children, you're leading your community, you're leading your church. So you're leading self. First of all, how am I leading my own self, the disciplines that I have in my own life? How am I leading another, my child, my friend, my colleague? Then how am I leading an organization? And ultimately, then that circle of influence keeps getting bigger as you now lead countries, you lead continents, you lead multinational companies. That circle keeps getting bigger. But at the center of it, the core of it, it all starts from the ability to be able to lead yourself. Because remember, no matter what leadership position you have, the first thing you are is a human being. And ultimately, what it is that is happening within your personal space is what ends up pouring out into your professional life. The person that you are, the human that you are, is what people get to experience as you go through your leadership journey. Your fears are very often amplified. Your personal fears are very often amplified on the stages or the platforms that God has given you to be able to express your leadership. And therefore, if you cannot be able to find a space where you're able to rule your spirit, where you're able to lead yourself through the various challenges that you have, then it becomes very difficult to be able then to pour out from a place of fullness into the situations that life lends itself, to become the leader that people are looking to. Remember what we said in the first episode, that leaders are dealers of energy. I think we even redefined the chief executive officer, and we said it's what? The chief energy officer. So what is the kind of energy that you're giving to those who are around you? You can't give that which you do not have. And therefore, for me, I believe that the critical thing in terms of handling all the buffeting that may come into your life, all the challenges that may come into your life, is the ability to be able to rule yourself, to lead yourself, to rule over your spirit. I was meditating on this scripture. I read the Bible. If you don't know, now you know. Proverbs 16:32, it says that he who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. The ability to rule your spirit is the ability to be able to get to a place where you're not reacting to everything that is happening around you, but rather you are in control of the responses that you're giving to the situations and the whirlwinds and the headwinds that are coming your way, simply because you have that ability to be able to rule yourself. So my question to you, and I'd like to invite you to drop your comments, and I say is, do you have the ability to be able to rule your spirit? Think about the mountains that you're currently climbing. Think about the situations that you're currently evolving through. Think about the things that have made you begin to doubt yourself, to begin to ask yourself, am I able? Was I called? Is this my place that I'm supposed to be? Is this my purpose? Is this the place where I'm supposed to express the giftings that have been put before me? What are those things that are making yourself be fearful? Drop it in the comments and let me know, so that then we can make this a lot more interactive and begin to understand what it is that is holding us back and preventing us from arising from the storms that life sometimes brings our way. I am a firm believer that you cannot rule over what you're not able to discern. If you cannot discern yourself, if you cannot be able to figure out what is happening inside, whether you do it yourself or you do it with the help of people, or you go through a process, whether it's therapy or not, then it becomes very difficult for you then to be able to pour out and fully arise into everything that you are created to be. I think what I have learned in this journey of life, I remember Oprah. I don't know how many of you, well, maybe now you'll figure out my age, but how many of you used to read Oprah's magazines, the time when magazines were big? That time it was not so digital. And she used to have, I think it was a column at the back of the magazine, and she used to say things that like, what I know for sure. And she'd write like a list, or would always share a nugget of what she knew for sure. And I think for me, what I have learned, or what I have now known for sure, and I think that my tough seasons have really helped me to grow, whether it's tough seasons that have come from disappointments at work, disappointments in relationships, valley seasons like when I lost my dad. That was hard, and it happened in the midst of a tough life transition that I was also going through, and I had to summon the courage to keep on going, to keep on smiling, giving energy to many people who were around me, even when I didn't have any, and then withdrawing back to my private and safe space, and kind of, that's when you just breathe and you let it all out. And sometimes you don't even have anyone that you can probably then lean on at that particular time. I do have friends who came through for me. I remember when I had to do the eulogy for my dad, and it was so difficult for me to write it. I tried, and there was a deadline, and I had to write, the eulogy, the tribute for my dad. And I just couldn't put the words together. And I had a friend who drove all the way from Nairobi and came and sat with me in a restaurant at our community and sat with me and helped me to write it. And I'll never forget. And so you might have those people, or you might not have those people in your life. So when you find yourself in those spaces, how then do you draw or find that within yourself that helps you to be able to go through those seasons. I can see some of you are sharing, and thank you for everyone who is sharing. Perfect Sangara says, hi Sylvia, a few years ago I went through a tough financial challenge, and during this period I felt so disappointed. However, I recently got a good job, but there is this fear that I may lose it. Now, see that? So you've gone through a dry season, then now your rainy season is here, but now you're still living in fear, even in your rainy season, because now you're thinking, I'm going to lose it. You can see, thank you so much, Perfect, by the way, for sharing that. I can see on, let me just read some of the comments as we continue. Thank you everyone who's logging in from Uganda, Kampala. Thank you to everyone who's calling us Unstoppables. Coach Patricia, you're saying that you couldn't wait for this session. Thank you so much. Abby is asking, how do you stay adaptable and innovative in a rapidly changing industry, and what advice would you give to others looking to do the same? Thank you. Someone else is saying, failure. Yeah, Annette, failure only becomes final if you let it stop you. This will always ring in my head. That is true. Judith is saying, fear of failing. What are people thinking about me? Thank you so much for sharing. Kamwina is saying, Monica, about the challenge of perfectionism. Thank you, everyone. So we'll talk about those things. So I think then, as I continue, is just to say that, resilience is just about the power to be able to draw from within. And I think we all have to ask ourselves, what are those things that give us rulership of our spirit? What is it that is feeding us? What is it that is giving us the energy to be able to take that step and keep on powering in spite of the turbulence that we face? What I know for sure is that resilience is not shiny. It is not built in glamorous moments. It is built often in silence. It is often built in setbacks, and it is often sometimes built in solitude. Think about that. I think I have found my most equipping seasons to be probably what I would used to describe as my most difficult seasons. They have equipped me to know myself in a way that I did not know I could be. Today, one of my leaders walked into my office, and he was debriefing me on a meeting that he had yesterday. And, it was just wild in terms of tough. I use that word lightly. And as I sat there and I listened to him, and he told me this and this happened, and this is what it means. I was just like drawing back into myself and asking myself, Sylvia, how do you tackle this and how do you handle this? And I think for me then, the place where I ended up landing was a place of having a sense of identity of who I am and what I stand for. And I think one of the things that I have come to discover is that who you are, and for those of you who are privileged to know whose you are, has a very big impact in terms of helping you navigate those challenges and those seasons of life. Do you know who you are? Do you have an understanding of why you're here on earth? The other day, I did a post about Bob Collymore, my former CEO, who is now departed and in rest, hopefully in heaven. And I just talk about how he told me and grounded me in terms of finding my sense of self, the authenticity of who I was as a leader, embracing that as my leadership signature, and being comfortable in being me. There are things that I know, there are streets that I know you will never find me in, because I know who I am, and I know what values I have. And therefore, even as my leader was speaking to me much earlier when he was briefing me, and I said, we're not going to get involved in that. We're not going to go down that route because that is not who we are. And I think one of the things that has truly helped me to navigate those seasons, even in the seasons of rejection, when people leave you, when you expect, and me, I'm a giver. I give myself, I give my time, I give my resources. That's my love language. I've accepted it. And I used to have an expectation that people will give back to me. But I realized they don't. And you end up getting to that place where you have no expectations almost of people. And I know there's a friend of mine who's constantly telling me that sometimes you see the world because of the way you are, which is true. But I think there is a place where you get to where you know who you are and what it is that you stand for. So one of the things that I've discovered that has helped me in those moments that I need to stay grounded, especially with a lot of whirlwind and turbulence around me, is drawing back to what my core values are. And I hope as you watch, you also know what your core values are. What are the things that you stand for? Who is the person that you are? Who are you when the world is not watching you? Because that is what will ultimately help you stay grounded in those seasons. I was listening to somebody the other day, and they were talking about chatter, chatter. And the person was saying that, we are who we end up becoming the voice we most listen to. And I think a challenge that I'd like to throw to you that you can probably kind of run an experiment with yourself is to ask yourself, what is the chatter that is running through your head? The self-talk that you give yourself every day. Is it chatter or self-talk that says I'm not enough? So remember the girl earlier on, I think M, who said, I have been promoted, but I'm afraid that I do not have the capacity to handle this level of leadership. Girl, the first thing is you have been promoted. So there's somebody who is seeing something in you that you probably do not see in yourself. And you probably need to stand in the mirror and say, I am M. I have been promoted. I'm the one who got the job. There must be something in me that they saw that has made me be able to arise and get this when nobody else could. What is the self-talk that you're telling yourself each day? What is the chatter that is in your head? Because we ultimately become, as I said earlier, the voice of what we most listen to. What you give your attention is what determines how your future becomes. I mean, that phrase can be reframed in so many ways. We normally say your network is your net worth, but the network in your head, the network of voices that are in your head that are speaking to you are ultimately what determine the network that you become. There's somebody who I read earlier who said that I didn't have a job. I think it was Perfect Sangara. Thank you for sharing. I'm just using this as an example. And she said that I didn't have a job. I hustled for the job. Now I'm afraid to lose it. Why? What are the tales that you're telling yourself in the head? So the second thing that I want to tell you after you figure out your identity is figure out what is that self-talk that you're telling yourself every day. Break those agreements that are not edifying you. Renounce the lies. Rebuild your mind. And just take a look at I'll just keep that word, the chatter that is happening in your head. If every time that chatter is telling you, I am not enough, I cannot make it, I will not last, do you know what? A man is what he thinketh. And that is ultimately what you're going to end up manifesting as yourself. Let me try and raise the energy a bit as we speak about mindset. And I want to invite somebody on the set who has a mountain slaying mindset. Come. And then we'll continue on that conversation. I'm greatly privileged today to be welcoming my daughter, Jasmine Mulinge. Hi, baby.
Hello.
Say hi to everyone.
Hi.
Can they see you? Can you see Jasmine? Can they see you? I don't know if they can see you. I can't see. Oh, yeah, they can see you here. There you are.
Oh, my gosh.
We'll have Jasmine all of 5 minutes, right?
Maximum.
Maximum 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I've negotiated to be able to get her here. But the reason why Jasmine is here, first of all, she's on her summer break, and she closed school last week, and she's a record breaker. And I don't think I'm the one who's going to tell you what the record is, but maybe tell them, why are you a record breaker? Why am I calling you a record breaker? Why am I proudly calling you a record breaker?
I'm the youngest Kenyan female to summit the Rwenzori Mountains.
The Rwenzori Mountains. This is my daughter who submitted the Rwenzori Mountains. She just submitted. When did you submit?
Last Friday.
Last Friday,
Yeah.
right? Please, okay, some Kenyans. Okay, Kenyans, I love you, but yeah. Kayla has logged in. And Nancy has logged in. They're saying hi.
And
Hi,
Jason,
Nancy and Jason and
Joki.
everyone. And Nancy Joki and my sisters, my family. Wow. My people, my tribe. Anyway, so my daughter recently submitted the Rwenzori Mountains. And for those of you who can see the pictures on the screen, that's her there. Holding up the Kenyan flag. Rwenzori is a range of mountains. It has snow at the top. And when I saw the pictures of what they went through, I was like, Jasmine, if I knew this is what you are going to be going through, I don't think I would have allowed you to go. But she did. And she climbed up the mountain. How many days were you there, baby?
10 days.
They were there for 10 days. You can see, I think you told me that Mount Rwenzori is the most difficult mountain. Just explain that to the audience.
The most difficult mountain to climb in Africa in terms of like technicality and ability.
What does that mean? Explain.
Obviously, there are other mountains that are higher, but you need more skills to do Rwenzori. Like you have to be able to use ropes and ice axes and crampons. So it's very technical and physically challenging.
Okay, all right. So you can see the pictures there of what they went through and the mountain that they climbed. And the reason why I asked my daughter to come in to just have this 5 minutes of our conversation is, first of all, I can't believe that she went up that mountain. And Jasmine, why do you climb mountains? Last year she climbed Mount Kenya. This year she went for the Rwenzori, and she's telling me next year, you're going where?
Kilimanjaro.
She's 15 years old. I honestly do not. Why do you climb mountains, Jasmine?
I love mountains, and I feel like I love proving to myself that I'm stronger than I think I am.
Okay. And let me ask, so when you started climbing that mountain, did you regret it?
Immediately.
You immediately regretted it?
As soon as I reached the bottom, I wanted to turn back.
Why did you regret it?
Because it was a lot harder than I expected. Obviously, the photos they show you on the website are not at all what it seems like.
Okay. So remember, guys, what I told you earlier, and by the way, we didn't rehearse this. So you've heard what she said. You underestimate or you overestimate what it is that you're going to. So when you got there, you wanted to give up.
Yeah.
And so why did you want to give up?
Why I wanted to give up?
Yes.
Because it was harder than it seemed to be, and it wasn't what I was expecting.
Okay, fine. And did it get easier as the days went along?
No, it got so much harder.
It got harder?
Yeah.
How did it get harder?
Well, for starters, I got sick on
You
day 4.
got sick, yeah.
And nobody else in my group was sick.
Yeah.
So obviously they knew that I was sick, but they didn't know how I was feeling. So I had to keep up with them still while I was feeling horrible.
Yes.
But also, when the altitude increases, it's harder to breathe.
Yeah.
And the landscape is tougher. So everything just kept on getting worse.
So why didn't you turn back?
I was motivated. I think I motivated myself because you can't do something that difficult if you're not self-motivated. So I have to keep on reminding myself that I know I can do it and I chose this for a reason. But also God, like I knew God wouldn't put me through this if I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. All right, cool. And how long did it take you to summit from when you guys were summit? Tell us a little bit. It took you 6
6
days to
days.
get to the top.
Yeah.
All right. And snow was on the last 2 days?
The last day, yeah.
The last day, all right. And then how long did it take you to, like, on that last day to climb to the top?
About 8 hours, 15 hours in total.
15 hours to be able to get to the summit and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you feel when you got to the top? What did you do?
Oh, I don't remember the last time I was that happy. I started crying. I played the song Jesus, yeah.
The one by Nathaniel Bassey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you started crying.
Yeah.
Crying from positive emotion.
Yeah, from tears of joy.
Tears of joy. Okay. But you were freezing. It was cold.
It was very cold.
Okay, fine. And when you got back down, how was it?
I still cried. I played the same song.
Yeah.
But I felt very accomplished and achieved.
Okay. And when you got sick, you didn't feel like you wanted to turn back?
I did. It made me want to turn back more, actually.
Yeah, but why didn't you?
In the moment, I told myself, if I didn't think I could do this before, God made me sick so that I can prove to myself that I can do this even though I'm sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
15-year-old. Okay. I hope you're not going to go back there soon.
No, I can't think about it.
Okay. So to somebody who's like going through a similar challenge and is wondering, how do I conquer this mountain? Because many people, and even even for me sometimes, we talk a lot. Jasmine is my child, but she's also my friend. And baby, that sometimes it can be tough. What should you tell somebody? I mean, you've climbed this mountain full of snow. It's cold. You were there for all of, I think, 10 or 11 days of, I think, 6 or 7 days summiting, getting to the top, getting sick. What should you tell them? Because, and as you had her say at the very beginning, when she got there, she didn't realize it would be like that, and she wanted to turn back. So what should you tell them?
Obviously, like I said, I got sick. So there are always like things you're going through by yourself that other people don't know about. But you're way stronger than you think. And anything you set your mind to, you can accomplish.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, baby. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming.
Welcome.
All right. So that's
Bye.
Jasmine.
Shout out Auntie Joki.
Your other auntie is going to make noise that you didn't send a shout out to her. But there, you've had it from my 15-year-old about just it all starts from motivation, not motivation, from your mindset. And what are the things that you're telling yourself? How do you keep powering on even when it becomes difficult? So for me, I think I really reflected this because there was a time when I was in a bit of a panic. We hadn't heard from them because obviously there's no network up when you cross a certain level of the mountain. And they were talking to us through satellite phones. And I mean, I was scared. And to be quite honest, I did not anticipate it. You never anticipate, even as a mother. So my reflections then later, after she'd come down and we were spoken about it, and I was asking myself if I was in the same position, or just trying to reflect what she went through with my own personal life. And I was I thought about, and especially when I saw the photos, because, they start off from this lushy green vegetation, and then it becomes a lot of rocks, and then ultimately they get to the snow, and the weather is changing as the altitude changes. And what I realized is that, that's the way our life is. Our life is lived in seasons. There are seasons when it's dry. There are seasons when it's wet. There are seasons when it's summer. There are seasons when it's winter. And I heard somebody say the other day that, you can't be in winter and not expect to feel cold. You can't be in drought and expect to find water. So the key question you have to ask yourself is, as you go through, first of all, do you embrace the fact that your life is lived in seasons? And that your life will never be consistent. Just as the way I said earlier, one day you wake up and it's a sunny day, and then another day you wake up and it's a rainy day. Are you ready to embrace your seasons? Are you embracing your seasons? And what are your seasons teaching you? We are not immune to seasons. We are not. And I think surrendering to that has a certain freedom that it gives you. there is a certain, I don't know what is the right word, but there's a sense of knowing that, or telling myself that, maybe the way I bear up in those tough seasons, to say, it is just a season and it will pass. It is just a season and it will pass. There's somebody who I know is in this chat and who told me the other day that they are currently in a crucible or in a season where they're feeling that things are not going the way they should. Sometimes you get into that crushing season, but just know that it is a season. The key thing to ask yourself is, what is the mindset that I need to have to be able to weather this season? The seasons of joy, obviously, are so much easier to be able to weather. The seasons that are tough require a different kind of a mindset to be able to go through. One of the things that I have learned that has helped me to cope in every season is to ask myself, what is the muscle that I'm building in this season? Many of you who probably know me or follow me, you know I'm a fitness enthusiast. I love training. I discovered training a couple of years ago. My coaches know themselves. I won't say them by name, those in Kampala, those in LD. The ones who call themselves my main coaches, you all know yourself, the ones here at MTN, where we have a fantastic gym. And shout out to all my MTN fellow gymmers. And when you go to the gym, I mean, it's a daily discipline that you deploy every day. And getting up to go to the gym. I mean, I meet people, even the other day when I was at the rugby match, guys saying, I follow you, you're so fit. Okay, maybe I look more fit than I really am in those videos. So big up to the digital team. But the reality is, getting up to go to the gym every day is not easy. But it is a daily discipline that you have to embrace because you know what it is that is producing in you. A friend of mine sent me a video by Simon Sinek the other day where he was talking about the fact that when you start going to the gym, he was using it as an illustration of trying to paint the whole narrative around consistency and why consistency is important. And he said, he gave an illustration. He said that he gave two illustrations, which I'll talk to quickly. So borrowing from Simon Sinek, this is not original. And he said, you know, when you go to the gym, you don't go to the gym, you work out the first day, then you go and stand in the mirror and expect to immediately see results. It is about going every day. And you never know that miracle moment that happens when suddenly the goals that you're pursuing in the gym suddenly manifest. It is about consistently having that daily discipline and doing it, which ultimately produces a result. For my daughter, Jasmine, it was about, for her to get to the summit, it was a daily discipline, not just physical discipline of putting one step in front of the other, but the mental discipline, the mental hygiene practice of telling herself that this is good for me. This is helping me achieve which I set out to do. That helped her to be able to power through the snow, the cold, getting sick, and getting herself to the very end that she had initially visualized in her mind. Remember that what I said earlier about what is the talk you're giving yourself and what is it that you're telling yourself every day. So the other illustration that Simon Sinek used, he said, is that, you know, sometimes it's not about the intensity, it's about the consistency. And that's why you see so many people say, even for like a fitness life, it's not about going to the gym for 5 hours and then you think I can now go away for 5 months because I've spent 5 hours doing very intense workouts. It's about making 20, 30 minutes every day, but doing it every day. And the other illustration that he gave is brushing your teeth. Do you wake up and then you brush your teeth for 3 hours and then you say, I'm not going to brush my teeth for the rest of the week? Will that suffice? No. You have to wake up every day and for 5-10 minutes, brush your teeth. So it's a daily hygiene practice. So my question to you and my challenge to you, or a point of reflection that I want to offer you, is what are the hygiene practices that you're putting in and around you to help you build that resilience muscle that you require to be able to weather this season that you're going through? What is that you're telling yourself? What is it that you're feeding yourself that is helping you to to build the right emotional response so that you're not reacting, but you're responding to the situations that life is bringing your way. I think when we build that mindset to be able to weather the seasons that we go through, after having that understanding that we are not immune to the seasons of life, ultimately then what happens is that these seasons then end up coming to equip us and to grow us to produce extraordinary results. Because ultimately, the people who build legacies are not people who are great in themselves, but they're seemingly ordinary people who keep showing up, have that silent endurance, not necessarily with a lot of noise, ego out of the way, have yielded themselves to the process, focusing not on image but on mission to be able to get themselves to that place that has been destined for them. I think as I begin to wrap up, what I want to say is resilience. I believe in miracles, but I also know that there are no miracle moments. That ultimately, resilience that we need to build to help us ultimately become the truly great version that we were created to be is all about showing up and having those daily disciplines that actually end up helping us to become the best version of ourselves. You know, one of my favorite phrases for this year is that consistency compounds. And those daily disciplines ultimately compound to help you build momentum that translates you into the place that was created for you. So my question to you is, what are the systems, what are the structures that you're building around yourself? Who is around you? Who are the people who are around you? Do you share the same core values? When Jasmine wanted to climb mountains, she didn't find people who are non-mountain climbers. She found people who are mountain climbers like her. And they encouraged her to keep climbing that mountain. So who are the people who are around you? Do they share the same values as you do? Because as I said earlier, ultimately, your values are what will keep you together when the days of pressure come. When the days when there's a lot of turbulence that comes against you. Remember that conversation I said I had with one of my leaders earlier? What you draw back to is those values that you have built within yourself from, first of all, having an identity of who you are, and also then having the understanding of why you are here on earth. I think the other thing that I also want to say as I wrap up is that resilience is quiet. Resilience is built in messy places, but resilience is powerful. Do not despise the days of difficult seasons. Use those seasons to keep asking yourself, how am I building the capacity to be able to carry that which was birthed within me? You cannot really fake whether you're being equipped in a season or not, because a season will reveal who you are, but it will also reveal those who are really around you. Seasons have a way of separating out the wheat from the tares. And that, I'm speaking to the relationships that are around you. Who are the real people that have been sent to walk with you in the different seasons of life? If you want to climb mountains, you must find people who are ready to climb those mountains with you. Focus on your mindset. Focus on your daily disciplines. Focus on the chatter and the self-talk that is in your head. And ultimately, you'll end up building that daily discipline, or we'll end up building that muscle that will help you navigate the times that life brings your way. Trust the process, even when the season is not ending. One of my persons told me earlier today when we were discussing about seasons, and they said, so what if the season doesn't end? What if it remains rainy for a long time? Embrace it. And I know that some of us are probably going through those seasons. It can be seasons of a long-term illness, or you've been waiting on a job from a very long period of time, or you're probably waiting for a relationship that is yet to come through the way you wanted it to. Don't lose hope. Ask yourself, what is this season teaching me? How am I growing? Watch yourself, abstract from yourself, and then watch yourself and ask yourself, who is this person that I'm becoming? And is this a person that I am proud in terms of how I am evolving? When I stand in front of the mirror and I look at myself at the end of the day, am I proud of the person that I'm becoming every day? Let your seasons teach you. Let your seasons mold you. Let your seasons reveal who you are, even to yourself. Because you probably need to be sharpened and to be refined. Just as we have all heard from many people who speak to us and tell us that diamonds are built under pressure. If you don't expose diamonds to pressure, you will never see their beauty. So what is that refining process that you're currently going through? What is that adversity? And how are you weathering it? I believe that times of testing come to prove who we are and why we came here on earth. So I encourage you to build the systems and structures that we've spoken about, identity, your mindset, the people who are around you, your people who share the same values as you, to help you weather your season, but ultimately understand that this season is coming to reveal you, either sometimes even to yourself, but also reveal you to the world, to grow your muscle and ultimately show the reason why you are put here on earth to be. I absolutely love you all. It's 3 minutes to go. So I don't know if there are any questions that I can take. Somebody tells me there is a season for planting, a season for harvesting, a season for letting go, a season for embracing. Yay! Somebody is asking me, who are you walking with? Embrace your seasons eventually. Wow, I love this. Henry Kianduma says, eventually we win, no matter the season. Thank you so much. Jasmine, so many commendations for you. Wow, well done. Great lesson from Jasmine. Esther Mukoya says, I'm so proud of your daughter. Patrick Caesar says, wow. Maria Ndongo says, hi, Jazzy. So many comments. Thank you so much. Caroline Guatunde says, what you give your attention ultimately becomes your net worth. That's so true. So thank you to everyone. That's, I think, on YouTube. On Twitter. When do we have these sessions on TikTok? So awesome. Cliff is asking, what if we accept the end as given? Cliff, does that mean that you have given up? Or does it mean that you do not believe that there is anything? If you believe, the other thing is about having a growth mindset. And believing that I can see, one of my mentors, Michael Adefarasin, I can see you. Thank you for logging in. He says that we are all in a season of pruning. And I think if you look at plants, you want a plant to become fruitful, what happens? You prune it. Why? Because it ultimately is then able to bear more fruit. So I encourage you, thank you for sharing your perspective, but I believe that so long as we are living, we are growing. And if part of the process of growing is being pruned, then ultimately, if you embrace the pruning season and you allow it to produce what it's supposed to be producing in you, what you'll ultimately become is a lot more fruitful. So thank you. I can see we have 1 minute to go to the top of the hour. Thank you to everyone who has logged in, TikTokers who have sent me badges. Is there any last question? Let me check on Instagram. Mindset charter, daily disciplines, consistency, embracing seasons. Sandy Mombi says, our ultimate question, we praise through the storm. I completely agree. My brother G is online. We win eventually as we win every day. God has given me a wonderful family. A big shout out to my 2 brothers and 2 sisters and my daughter Jasmine and Jason who are logged in, plus my community, my tribe, Kayla, Nancy, everyone who's online, Maria, everyone who I've seen and the many others who have not seen. Thank you so much for logging in and cheering me on. And I think as I close, it's a season for building. And as we continuously build up, we'll ultimately break through. You're breaking through. Look at me. Many of you know my story. If I had given up along the journey, I wouldn't be here now. So keep trusting the process. It is your process. Keep trusting your process. Trust the long game. Understand that time rewards discipline. So give it time, even as you trust the long game. And I end with one of my life guiding scriptures, that count it all joy when you fall into various trials. Let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. Because that is what will ultimately produce the unstoppable you. God bless you all. Thank you for joining me tonight. I look forward to us engaging again. I'll go through all your feedback and your comments. And I'm grateful for the gift of your time and the gift of your audience. God bless you all. I wouldn't say when I'll see you next because I never know how these seasons roll. But the one who has called me to do this, I'm sure he'll let me know when the next one drops. God bless you all. Bye-bye.